Does anyone have a question?
Stuart, I have a question. Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob.
When I'm working in the kitchen when I volunteer to help work in a kitchen, it's always been very fast paced. The situation requires that my physical body has to move and quickly and be sharp and clear and focused. And there's this other part of me that is also working to slow down. And some days I can do that and let the body work quickly, but I'm still struggling with it. How best to proceed?
All right. You know, I mean, how do I answer that, Bob? Look, I've known you a very long time, Bob. I've seen you work in kitchens from the restaurant in Denton, Texas, to all kinds of places, you know. You're brilliant at it. You're a great cook. You give. The food comes with love. It comes with, but there comes a point in life where, well, I don't know how to say this. I mean, there comes a point where you finally have to say, I'm at this party and somebody else can do the cooking. I can just enjoy being here. I've done this all my life. I've served people in such a profound way and provided, I mean, you've made birthday cakes for me like nobody in the world has ever made. I mean, extraordinary things that you produced. I mean, and I mean, you don't have to bust your chops anymore, Bob. You've done it. You don't have to feel obligated, to be in a kitchen. Being in a kitchen is one of the hardest jobs on the earth. As you say, it's very fast. It requires precision, timing. It's just, you have to really know what you're doing. There's a lot of tension involved with people that work in kitchens. You're up against other people's personality, all this stuff. It's life. And when you've done it as much as you have done it, you can finally step back and say, let them get somebody else I can go and enjoy the meal. And I mean that, Bob. It kind of pains me a little bit because I have known what you have done for other people in your life. And it's time people start really doing for you a little bit, Not even a little bit, a lot. And again, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I have never really worked in a kitchen. I have worked in restaurants. I have worked, waiter, bartender, this and that in restaurants. But I mean, I always used to stay away from the kitchens when I worked in restaurants because people would throw knives at you there. And so I don't know how to answer that, Bob. I really don't. I mean, uh, the inner practice, I keep getting back to this all the time, the development of a chakra system, the building of an inner life, enables you in the real world to kind of slow down a little bit. You can be doing a lot of things. You can be doing a lot of work, different kinds of work that's required of you. But if you develop a chakra system, the internal world gets simpler. And your ability to do the things in the external world also gets simpler. And it really doesn't drain your energy out of you or take you apart as somebody that's working strictly on tension. Most people I've ever known that have worked in kitchens, it's just tension. The whole energy that drives them is tension, pressure. So what I'm saying is there are two answers. You can step back a little bit, let somebody else do it, enjoy the party, the food, make maybe one thing, a cake, a dessert, or at the same time, you can build a system inside, which I think you're doing, which will make you strong enough so that no matter what is going on, you are quiet, strong, and profoundly deep inside yourself. And you handle the pressure of a situation that way without allowing it to drain all your energy out of you. See, the problem is with those kind of pressure jobs, they drain your life out of you. I mean, look, most of my life I've been in business, and I've had business all over the world, frankly, with people. And one of the things I said to myself while doing that business, I'm not going to allow this business to drain my life out of me. I'm not going to allow it to give me a heart attack, to, run out of energy, to, all the things that happen to people. And your situation is the same, Bob. You build the system inside that is strong enough not to allow that particular situation to drain you of your energy. It doesn't matter how fast you go, and you have a system that is strong enough to sustain your spiritual life, your inner life, and the activity in the world is the overflow of your energy. It's not the vital source of your energy. There's so much Shakti inside you and energy and growth, and it's the overflow. And by the time it's over with, you might be physically a little tired, but you'll never be spiritually drained. So there are a lot of answers to this question, and your question is relative to just about everybody, Bob. I mean, I've had students that worked in Wall Street and worked in banking and all kinds of high pressure situations. And, I used to, spend time with some of them, and it was very difficult. By the end of the day, their lives were drained out of them. The tension consumed them. And the purpose of an inner life is to build a system to where you can live in the world and the world doesn't consume you. Because you're not functioning on tension, you're not functioning on, the vital energies inside yourself. You're functioning on the overflow of the energy, the overflow of the Shakti that you can use and invest in your life to build a life for oneself. I mean, I learned, there's three ways of getting rid of tension. One is I absorb it in the chakra below the navel and turn it into chi and power inside myself. The second way is that I used to invest it in my life so that it built, that whole situation that grew up in Texas, was a product of the overflow of my tension. I had to use it somewhere. Otherwise, I would have used it on other people. I had to use it somehow to create something that was a manifestation of a vision I had, but also, a creative and healthy use of tension. And the third element is you got to drop it. Your hands go at your side. You ask for help to surrender negative psychic tension. So your psychic system digests as much as it can digest, and it's ready to digest. The world, you invest the energy and you create a life around you that is not only wonderful for you, but the people in your life. And the third thing is you've got to get rid of what you can't use in life and what you can't digest inside of yourself. It's like the way the body functions. And we have to learn from that and function in a similar way. And also another element, you can say no. So I think that there are many ways of dealing with this. And this is not only relevant to your situation and working in a case, it's relevant to everybody. You get a job, there's going to be tension. You run a business, there's going to be tension. You have a family, there's going to be tension. You have friends, there's going to be tension. You live in an ashram, trust me, there's going to be tension. You go to a meditation center, there's going to be tension. Wherever you go, people bring their baggage, and there's always tension. So our work is to build an inner life that is strong enough not to allow ourselves to get swept away in other people's tension and in our own tension. We can consume what is necessary to continue to build a spiritual life. So it's a very good question, and it's applicable to just about every person alive, Bob. It's not just your situation. And it's part of the evolution of one's inner life that you learn how to deal with this kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's always, every day is a war with yourself and a war with other people. And when you're at war with yourself, people take advantage of you. When there's that kind of weakness in you, people take advantage of you. When you have that openness and inner strength, you understand people are not going to take advantage of you. They can't. You're connected to God. How are they going to take advantage? They can try, they'll never succeed.
Thank you, Stuart. That's very good.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question we'd like to ask?
Stuart?
Yes, Larry.
Can you talk about how our state of being can impact the world outside of us, like the macro and the micro, and just to realize that?
Well, look, I don't know how many times I've talked to, anyway, I'll talk about it again. Look, I feel like a broken record. Look, there are 8 billion people in the world, right? Every person on this planet sees a different reality. I mean, just take, our government, they want to pass a bill that's going to get rid of 50% of climate warming and climate change, help people with drugs. And then 50% of our Congress votes against it. You understand? 50% of the Congress sees their reality, and their reality is not to let a bill like that pass. Other 50% see, well, this is going to do a lot of good for the world and for the United States. We have to vote this in. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every single human being sees their own reality. And look, it took me a long time to learn this. People have to change inside themselves. If there's any way this world is going to change, it's not because they're investing $360 billion in this and that and the other. It's because people finally learn that if they want to effectually change the world, they've got to change inside themselves. Now, this is a big job. There's 8 billion people here that all have to make an effort to change in themselves. So, the other alternative to this is we have to change. We have to grow inside ourselves to where we have the inner strength to be able to deal with all the bullshit in the world without allowing that bullshit to destroy us. We have the inner strength to nurture people that want to be nurtured. Not people that come with their opinions and their ideas and this and that and the other and all the tension and craziness. The worst is their righteousness. They are right. Can't fix that. These people have to fix themselves. Eventually, they all do. I've spoken about this before. Look, my first experience of this was when I was 16 years old. Now, I've spoken about this a lot, but it bears repeating. It was when my father died. And I never saw my father, in all the years I knew him, have one untense day. Always something. And 15 minutes before he died, he went into this profound state of surrender. It was amazing. I looked into his eyes. I could see 100 million miles. The room around him was full of light. And I said to myself, why did he have to wait 49 years to experience this, 20 minutes before he died? And I said to myself that you have to find somebody on this planet who can teach you how to find that kind of inner peace, but not 15 minutes before you die, that you can live with that kind of inner peace. It began the quest for a spiritual life. It was God teaching me. My father became my first great teacher, just before he died. Now, I think everybody goes through this in one way or another. How many people, look, I was in an airplane crash with Rudy. God, my God, And I came out of that experience thinking, Stuart, now you'll find out what you learned in the last 6 years. Did you really learn what your master had to teach you? So it wasn't, I came out of that moaning and lamenting the death of Rudy and feeling depressed for the rest of my life. What did I learn? Did I learn what he had to teach me? And then I realized it's going to take years for you to absorb everything he taught you so that you can be sitting in front of a group of people talking like this. People have to make the commitment to change. They have to see what is positive in a situation and how it can effectually help them to grow in their life and not the exact opposite happening. My father dies and I become a mess for the rest of my life. Rudy died, I became a mess. It was in a way, what did I need to learn? Even at 16, I knew I had to learn something. I must say that next 9 years was some of the most painful I ever went through, but there was always the quest. And when I finally walked into Rudy's gallery one day, I saw this human being standing in front of me. I said, Stuart, you found him. You found the person who can teach you this. Now you've got to learn from him. It wasn't easy because I had to let go of everything that conditioned me from the moment I was born in order to learn from him. So what I'm saying is, if you change, that can change the world. First of all, you see the world differently. The world is no longer this horrible, negative place. It's a place to learn something about your inner self and how you can really spend your time growing every day. And to me, it's just a very wonderful way to live, because then everybody is my teacher, whoever they are. And some people, it's like, okay, I've had 2 minutes with them. I've learned whatever I had to learn, and I can move on. Other people, all right, it's a lifetime's work. So what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody is going to transform the world. I mean, the world has been crazy since Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, you know? And it's, you know, and I, as I always say, I can't remember a day in my life where the world hasn't been nuts, where there hasn't been a war somewhere on the planet Earth, where people haven't been starving to death somewhere, where there hasn't been extreme poverty. I mean, you know, if you have time, take a trip to India, spend a month in India. You know, I mean, you'll see poverty, and I mean, it's beyond all human comprehension. And I used to step out of a 5-star hotel and cross the street, and I was in the 10th century. It was extraordinary. It's not going to change, but we can change. And then in the process of changing inside ourselves, we can help not everybody, because that's an impossibility, but the people that want to be helped, that are attracted to the energy that is being given off by us. The love, the joy, the spirit, the consciousness, the caring, the compassion for other people, the willingness to do something to help other people, not being intimidated by that, not being afraid of either life or death. That changes in a person, and the world around them changes. You know, you're not going to get up in front of the Congress of America or the United Nations and give a talk like this. You know, they just don't get it. It's like a primitive state of the soul, you know, the people that do all that stuff. But there are people that will listen, and there are people that will learn, and that people will make the effort to compassionately live in this world. They have the internal strength to do it. They've worked on themselves over years.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Larry. Just, I mean, look, that's why there's reincarnation. You know? The universe, God, it gives us billions of lifetimes to finally learn these lessons. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And just to finish, every person is worthy of living this way. You know, and honestly, it's who we proclaim to be, it's what we proclaim to be our God that determines whether or not we truly, ultimately live this way. You know? And as I always say, it takes nothing away from the rest of our lives. You just learn how to live in the world consciously. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? You know, it's interesting how I send out an email to probably close to 60 people for this class, and 20 people show up. And, you know, people, well, if I don't come to this class, I can go to the next one. And it's kind of silly because every one of these classes has something profound to teach. And it just, I don't know, I don't get that, you know, I don't get that, but I guess everybody has their way of being. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. God bless you all for being here, being part of this, being part of my growth, my inner work. I mean, it's just to me a very great miracle to be here with all of you. So thank you and bless you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bless you.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.